This decade, this year, this week, we are in a phase of incredible new beginnings. This is affecting all of the world and each of our lives. The heavenly bodies have lined up in a way that shows we must step into the unknown, take leaps of faith to forge new paths and enter new realms. This is happening in your life and in the lives of everyone around you. Well, life is always about change and new adventures and discoveries, but what we're experiencing now is far above the ordinary. There is a lineup of 7 planets or bodies in the sign of Aries, bringing tremendous energy to the new moon that's taking place there this week. In the weeks and months ahead, you will be called to act before you feel ready to do so, to make quick decisions and trust your instincts. There is no going back now. We are all moving into new territory at a very fast pace. Mostly, this new moon is about profound and daring new beginnings that you will feel very called to pursue. However, some feelings of insecurity could come up. Feelings that you don't have a right to ask for more, or feelings that you don't even have a place in the new world. Chiron, the centaur body, the wounded healer, is conjunct the new moon, bringing some feelings of doubt. And so you need to work on these feelings of lack because you are enough. You are everything you need to be. You are pure. You have fire in your belly, and your place in the world is yours to claim. We all have Aries power, and you have Aries power, and this new moon will bring you to embody a spark of primal creative fire as life forces you to breach the gate of the compound you've been dwelling in and charge into the unknown. Hello everybody and welcome to this video. In this video I'm going to talk about the transits of the week beginning Sunday the 12th or Monday the 13th of April 2026. In that week coming up we have got the new moon in the sign of Aries, and as I was indicating in that introduction, it is very, very powerful, overwhelmingly powerful. I feel with Mars, Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, the Sun, the Moon, and Chiron all lined up in the sign of Aries, the sign of initiation, the sign of the hero, setting off into the unknown on a quest. So there is a quest for you. You are the hero of your journey. And you will need to be so bold and to become uncomfortable at times. I will need to as well. Everyone in the world is dealing with this, and we all have Aries somewhere in our chart. So in the video, I'm going to go through the transits of the week one by one and then do a focus on that new moon in Aries. It is conjunct Chiron, so there is going to be some healing work to be done, but overall, the main energy is about these powerful, very forceful new beginnings. And I will do a sign-by-sign breakdown about that. And to introduce myself a little bit more, I am based in New Zealand, but this astrology is for the whole world. All of these transits and all that Aries power is affecting all of us. I make calendars like this one up here for Australia and this one for Aotearoa, New Zealand. They are based on lunar months and they have little descriptions of all the transits and they are adjusted for your time zone. But like I said, these transits that I talk about in the video are for all of the world, and so I go into more depth with them here. I use Western tropical astrology and whole sign houses, and you can use the timestamps to jump ahead to any part of the video that you want to look at. So let's get into it, starting with an overview of the week. So again, this is the week beginning the 12th or the 13th of April. Just to start with, looking back to last week, we had Mars moving into the sign of Aries, and you can go back to my video last week to look at that focus area, and for your sign it talks about Mars moving past each of those slow-moving planets, Neptune, Saturn, Chiron, and also it meets up with Mercury. So a lot of that energy is also to do with this new moon. And here is what I've said, to sum up this week coming up, go for it. After the new moon has happened, which is on the Friday, and then a few days later, we see that first sliver of the moon in the sky. It is time to go for it. If you feel it, don't wait. And very often life will be forcing you to make decisions very quickly. And Aries is about this solo hero going off on an adventure. It's also about, I feel, a new baby emerging into the world with that first cry saying, I can breathe, I am here, feed me now. That is the Aries thing. It knows what it needs and it goes after what it needs and wants. It's ruled by Mars. It's about desire and it's about adventure, quests, courage, boldness. And so a valiant hero setting out on a quest, that is all of us, each of us in some different way in our lives with this. And then there are a couple of blocks to attend to. One is that the new moon is conjunct Chiron, so that is bringing up some kind of wound or feeling of not enoughness or lack. We need to work on that. Mostly, though, it's about boom, go ahead, just go for it. And Saturn in the sign of Aries as well will slow us down, but it will help us build sensible structures for the future. We can't gallop off on the journey the whole time, as well as galloping and cantering. There needs to be some walking, some trotting, and going at a pace that is sustainable and working steadily for the long term. There is an overview of the lunar month of Pisces. We are just coming to the end of that this week. It ends on the 16th of March and then, the 16th of April. And then we're in the lunar month of Aries. This is a page from the Australian calendar. That's the one up there. And Aries is represented by the Tasmanian devil, and that illustration was done by Jasmine Robery, who illustrated the calendars for the most part. And anyway, it's a very cute Tasmanian devil, and it's a creature that asks for what it wants and it goes for it, and that is the Aries energy. And you can see up here on the 17th of April is that new moon in the sign of Aries, and my understanding is that it is on the 17th of April, whether you are in the USA, the UK, Canada, Australia, or New Zealand, all the same day for all of us. So here is where I've set out the week on this overview page. All right, so these blue ones are the last of the lunar month in Pisces, and the reddish pinky ones are the start of the new moon in the sign of Aries. Blue for the water sign of Pisces, red for Aries because it's a fire sign. And now I'm going to list these transits. There are a lot of them this week. We're starting on the Sunday the 12th or Monday the 13th, Mars conjunct Neptune and Venus sextile Jupiter a few hours later. On Tuesday the 14th or Wednesday the 15th, we'll have Mercury sextile Uranus, and then Mercury finally catching up with Mars, and after its retrograde in Pisces, moving into the sign of Aries. On Thursday the 16th and Friday the 17th, over this 24-hour period, there's a lot going on, okay? The Sun conjunct Chiron, Mars sextile Pluto, Mercury conjunct Neptune, and then the new moon in Aries, which is the focus transit for this video, and I'll be doing an all signs breakdown about that new moon. And then finally on Saturday the 18th or Sunday the 19th, Mercury sextile Pluto. This week's transits, let's start with Mars conjunct Neptune. Last week, as I talked about and focused on in my video, Mars went into the sign of Aries, and the first aspect it makes in the sign of Aries is a conjunction with Neptune at 2 degrees of Neptune. That is going to make us want to fight for the underdog, to fight for charitable causes, to act. And when I say fight, this could be like take the initiative, take action, speak up, even face up to conflict, like get involved in conflict. Like, I'm not very comfortable with that because I'm a Pisces person and a Libra person, so I'm pretty conflict averse. But with Mars in its home sign where it's very strong, we might be called to stand up for people who cannot speak for themselves or for the plants or trees or whatever. And Neptune is about, yes, charitable causes. It's also about spirituality, unconditional love, compassion, creativity, connection with everything that there is. Also, glamour, film, photography, images, visualizing, and dreams. So that we might be quite determined to take part in activities involving any of those with this conjunction. And then on the same day, Venus, or maybe the day after, depending on where you are in the world, Venus is sextile to Jupiter. Well, that is a lovely one. Recently, Venus moved into her home sign of Taurus, where she is all happy and comfortable and enjoying her home luxuries and comforts, exalted there and catching up on her beauty routines. She is happy and she's glowing there, and Jupiter will be expanding that energy. This might have a little bit of an echo of the full moon in Libra that we had just before the Easter holiday, and I hope that you all enjoyed that. It was pretty neat that it came just as the Easter was starting, and so there was this celebration. Woohoo, we're on holiday. We went downtown. We finished work, went downtown and had a really big ice cream, and it was a really nice time. We probably had a little bit too much ice cream because Jupiter was square to the full moon, but it was okay. It was all fine. With this sextile, it's a good idea to take action to make that lovely thing happen that you might want to happen. This is a good energy for dating. It's a good energy for doing something sweet with somebody that you care about, or just for friendship and any kind of connection. Mercury sextile Uranus, and this happens on Tuesday the 14th or Wednesday the 15th of April. Mercury is the messenger, Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. Both of them are very about the mind and quick thinking, clever thinking, and with Uranus it's thinking outside of the box, being disruptive with your new innovative ideas, and Mercury could be helping you to express some of those ideas. Again, this is one of the last, maybe the last aspect that Uranus will be making before it moves into the sign of Gemini, which will be the subject of next week's video. With this transit, it's a good idea, it just lasts a day or so. Communicate your original ideas, your innovative ideas, and speak your truth, because Uranus is very much about being authentic and Mercury is a messenger. You might actually hear some interesting out of the box and quite positive news as well. And then Mercury enters Aries. So Mercury spent a long time in Pisces, much longer than it usually spends in a sign, because it retrograded in Pisces. We are now far out of that retrograde. It's definitely moving into new territory, and it will be in Aries the normal amount of time that it's in a sign until early May. Mercury in Aries is likely to be very direct and blunt, even with its speaking and communication, and you might be receiving those kind of messages or ways of speaking from other people. So watch your tongue, try not to be too cutting with your words, and it's also a good opportunity to speak up boldly about what you want. Say it directly, don't beat about the bush. So this is a good energy for that until the 3rd of May. And then we're going on to the Sun conjunct Chiron. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about Chiron later in this video when we look at the new moon. The Sun conjunct Chiron happens on Thursday the 16th or Friday the 17th of April, depending on where you are in the world. It is immediately, well, it's very close to the new moon, because the sun and moon are going to meet up just 1 degree after this point where they meet here. Anyway, Chiron is about our inner wounds, our feelings of lack, even illness and injury, but certainly feelings that could come from attachment wounds, a sense of abandonment or shame, anywhere that we feel not enough. The sun could highlight that, and it could affect our self-confidence and creative expression on that day. Even though the sun is exalted in the sign of Aries and is usually ready to take the lead, ready to shine in the world, ready to be expressive and charismatic. But Chiron might bring a limit to that. There might be somebody who tells you, don't speak so loud. There might be somebody who says, stop showing off. Stop thinking that you're so cool. And this could be bringing up some insecurities that we've got within us. It's important to look at these and try and address them and try and help yourself through it, and to have empathy or compassion for yourself about this, or for others around you who are having trouble with this, because it's all going to help with this new energy of the new beginnings and being able to just go forth with confidence. And then Mars is sextile to Pluto. So both of these are about willpower and motivation and desire and getting what you want. Mars does it in a very obvious, taking action, direct kind of way. And Pluto does it also in a direct, in a taking action kind of way, but it tends to be more strategic. The positive side of this is that your deep underlying motivations can be lined up with your surface desires, or the desires that you're aware of and conscious of in the world. Pluto can be about our unconscious desires, and it's very clever and strategic. And Mars can be very strategic. It's about just going out in a bold and courageous way to get what we want, and it's going to be backed up around about these 2 or 3 days with that strong Pluto energy as well, which is very deeply powerful. Okay, and then we're going to Mercury conjunct Neptune. So Mercury is the last one of the personal planets to be coming through Aries and coming past in a conjunction with Neptune, activating the Saturn-Neptune conjunction that happens in the 0 degrees of Aries at the end of February, that represented a very big new beginning, an epic new beginning unfolding over the next three and a half decades for the world. So there might be some kind of memory of ideas that were starting to bubble up late February or in the last few months, and being able to speak about some of these big, new, original ideas that could be starting to unfold as a story, as a journey in your life, all part of these strong energies of powerful new beginnings. So all of this is adding to it. Mercury will help you speak about what you're visualizing, speak about what you're dreaming of, speaking about the romance and the idealism of what you would love to see for your life and for the world, because Neptune is very much about we are all one, we are all connected. Mercury might help us speak up for the dispossessed or the underdog, and there also could be messages flowing around about any of those topics. Creativity as well, a good idea for creating and writing about these amazing imaginative ideas in your head. And then the new moon in Aries, and you can see on the screen there the times that it occurs: early in the morning in some parts of the world and later in the evening in my part of the world, Aotearoa, New Zealand. It's at the very late degrees of Aries, 27, 28 degrees, and it's about pioneering new starts, new initiatives, going out boldly to get what you want, and in doing so, trying to avoid conflict, because there can be a lot of energy of conflict with the Aries fiery, feisty energy that we've got so much of at the moment. But despite that, we shouldn't be holding back from going out to get what we want. So I've said there, pioneering new starts, act with courage, speak decisively, and avoid conflict. So you can go on to the later part of my video when I look at the chart of the new moon and do a all sign breakdown about this new moon in the sign of Aries. Okay, and then Mercury sextile Pluto. Well, Mercury will be helping us to express deep motivations, helping us to see and understand and think about underlying power movements and power moves that are going on in situations around us, or helping us to understand our own deep motivations, deep fears, even our own or those of others. Okay, and you can express yourself very powerfully and maybe express what is coming down from below. Mercury is moving quickly at the moment. It's going to catch up with Mars soon, so it is following on, and it is the last of the personal planets to be moving through the sign of Aries. And after that, we're going to have a little bit of a break from some of the Aries energy, even though we'll still have Saturn and Neptune and Chiron in there for a while. Okay, so that's it for the transits. So many this week. And then looking at upcoming events on the 19th or 20th of April, so just the beginning of next week, Mars is conjunct Saturn. That is powerful. It's great for taking actions, but not easy. It could be to do with armed forces in the world, and hopefully avoid conflict in your own life. And then late in April, Uranus, the planet of interruption and awakening and innovation, moves into the sign of Gemini, and boy, things will be moving fast then. And then on the 1st or 2nd of May, we've got a full moon in the sign of Scorpio. So now I'm going to talk about the new moon in the sign of Aries. So first of all, I'm going to say and remind you that we all have Aries somewhere in our chart. So you might not be an Aries rising or an Aries sun or moon, and you might not even have any planets in the sign of Aries, but you still have Aries energy, and that will be ruling a house in your chart. And so that whatever that house is depends on your sun, moon, or rising sign. So I'll talk about that in the all signs breakdown. You can go and look at your sun, moon, and or rising sign. I prefer the rising sign, but it's a good idea also to listen to the others. Okay, the sun is about your creative expression and your career and how you are shining and expressing yourself in the world. The moon is about your home, where you live, the people you live with, your ancestry, your mother and your parents and your family of origin. But certainly that can be telling you about how you feel about what the world is bringing you, how you're responding to things, how you're reflecting what the world brings to you. And your rising sign is the sign that was rising on the horizon at the moment that you were born. It's also known as your ascendant, and that sets up your whole chart. It's known as the first house. And then from there, you've got the second house of money, the third house of community, the fourth house of home and family, and so on. So the first house I find to be the most accurate. It's about your body and the part that you're playing in the world, your approach to life. And so you can listen to all three of those, but I would especially listen to the rising sign. At the time of a new moon, this is a time to take a little bit of quiet time to contemplate, to withdraw a bit. If you're about to start a new thing, I would wait till a couple of days after the new moon until you can see that first sliver of light, that crescent moon in the sky that looks so beautiful after the sunset in the west. At the time of the new moon, the exact time, the sun and the moon are exactly together, so we can't see the moon because it's so outshone by that very, very bright star that is our sun. Okay, and it is a time to just withdraw and contemplate. I get together with some friends and we set some intentions at new moon time. And I've been thinking lately that I've been finding it hard because I'm a little bit confused and in an unknown space in my life about where to move to next or what direction to really focus on. And it has meant that some of my intentions I've been setting, I've been trying to do the SMART goals, time bound, specific goals, and that's been tricky and I haven't been following through with them. And this new moon for myself, I'm going to focus more on what do I want in the long term? What am I actually reaching for that are the bigger things, not just the monthly to-do list kind of thing or the monthly intentions and the steps towards a clear goal. I'm going to ask for guidance about my goals. And I'm really hoping with all this big lineup in Aries that that's going to come clear to me, whatever it's going to be, because it's such a big epic new start. If it doesn't become clear this month, I can certainly be taking some action steps because Aries is all about action. And the same for you. If you're not clear yet about what specifically you need to do towards what you want, because you're not sure exactly, specifically what you do want, you can use the new moon to visualize a life and future that really would suit you and work well for you, that is idealistic, that's the Neptune side in Aries, and practical and real. So idealistic and realistic, because we've also got Saturn in the sign of Aries. So I recommend, if you don't know exactly what it is, then that you're visualizing what that future is that you want to aim for. And how about in there you add in some goals, some dreams, some visions, idealistic visions for the world, for peace, for harmony, and for caring for each other and for the environment in ways that are going to work really well for everybody. Okay, so let's now look at the new moon in the sign of Aries. So the new moon takes place at 27 degrees of Aries with 6 planets in Aries plus Chiron. It's an incredibly powerful energy for new beginnings and new initiatives. Incredibly powerful. And these are the times, as I talked about before, and just some more, a reminder about that new moon time. It's the dark time, the quiet time, time to withdraw and go inwards. It's a time of potentiality. And then once we see that first sliver of the crescent moon in the sky, time to get going and doing whatever it is that you are called to do with all this Aries energy. Okay, and Aries, let us remind ourselves about that energy of Aries. And I talked about this a lot last week in the video about Mars going through the sign of Aries. Aries is very independent and bold, and it is the I am of life. I am this, and I want, I desire. And we need some of that independent and sovereign. I'm going to use a word that Pam Gregory uses a lot, sovereignty. She talks about with Aries, being your own boss, making sure that what you're doing and what you're aiming for is what you want, not just what you think other people want you to want or society wants you to want. Okay, so what do you desire for yourself? Aries is a very entrepreneurial and pioneering energy. It goes out and forges new paths. It takes the lead. It goes where nobody has gone before and sets up something new. And then the rest of us just follow along, okay? But where that path has been forged. So it's amazing in that way. Aries also has this competitive spirit. So it loves to fight. It loves sports and competition, and it's very energetic and physically active. So with all of these planets in the sign of Aries, so much action and energy and physical energy. And if it's all getting too much, doing something physical to work that energy through your body could really help. Okay, some other words I've got here: courageous, spontaneous, forward-looking, aiming to win, and very confident and bold, courageous. And that is where that hero on a quest energy comes in. Okay, however, the new moon is conjunct to Chiron. So the sun meets Chiron the day before the new moon. Chiron is a centaur, and it's based on the mythological centaur Chiron, who half man, half horse. When he was born, his mother rejected him because he was half animal and half human. Okay, so with Chiron, there is this great mother wound. And then later in life, Chiron was injured with an arrow being shot to his leg, so he had an injury. And then the arrow happened to be poisoned, so he also ended up with illness because of that toxin. So Chiron represents an inner wound that could be an attachment wound from our childhood, where we feel we didn't belong or we weren't enough. Chiron is also can be about illness and injury. But Chiron is also a healer. And I've listed here 3 wounds that Chiron has and 3 ways in which Chiron heals. And this is work that I did, research that I did for a video I did with Ksenia Moore, who's my astrology teacher. And that video came out in December, I think, November or December, about Chiron. And in that video I talked about 2 wounds and 2 ways in which Chiron heals. And then the more I thought about it, I thought, no, I feel that there are 3 of each. You can go to Ksenia's website to see that video, and I will link it in the description below. So 3 wounds from Chiron: that mother wound due to birth circumstances where he felt like he didn't belong and he was brought up as an adopted orphan in another family; the injury to his body later in life; and the illness due to the poisoned arrow. So illness, injury, and emotional wounding. And then 3 ways in which Chiron heals. Chiron was actually a trained healer, a medicine man, and he was renowned for this work. So one of the ways you can use Chiron energy is actually to look at doing proper healing, going to practitioners, whether those are alternative energy healing type practitioners or actually going to see a traditional mainstream doctor if you need to. Chiron also heals through empathy and compassion and understanding, that having the patience and the compassion with people who are injured or ill or have emotional wounds. And Chiron also heals by just that pure acceptance of vulnerability, accepting that we cannot be everything that potentially we could be, because we are likely to have some wounding in our childhood, in our lives, that can limit us. It's the nature of being a human. It's the vulnerability of being a human. And everyone has Chiron in their chart. So I would say that nobody can escape this. We all have some kind of wounding, and it's something that we need to work on in our lives. So this new moon is conjunct to Chiron, and here you can see the chart of that new moon, and you can see down here, circled in red, the sun and the moon at 27 degrees and Chiron at 26 degrees of Aries, so right together. So there's something about our wounds, about wounds for the world, that are coming up with the new moon. But with that, oh my goodness, look at that lineup in the sign of Aries, and that is, forget about the wound stuff. There's just so much energy for taking action boldly and courageously despite any feelings of limitation or lack. So there is Neptune bringing idealism, vision, dreaming of a better future, dreaming of a wonderful world where we're all unconditionally loving of each other. There's Mercury being the messenger and the thinker and communicator. There is Mars bringing its powerful warrior energy. That's the courage. That's the boldness, the hero that just goes off into the unknown to fight the dragon. And there's Saturn. That's going to slow things down and limit things and make us be sensible and practical and realistic, and accepting that we have to be pragmatic about whatever we're setting forth on. There's Chiron, and there are the sun and moon together. 7 heavenly bodies lined up in the sign of Aries. There's hardly anyone else left. There's Pluto up here at the beginning of Aquarius, sextile to all of this energy. There's Venus in her own sign. Actually, I've probably got her circled. Oh, I've got Jupiter over here. So Jupiter is roughly square to all of this new moon energy. It's not exactly square. That will be bringing a sense of optimism and confidence and expansion to whatever is starting. There's a tendency to go a little bit far with Jupiter square, but mostly Jupiter is protective. It believes in justice and truth and good behavior. Okay. And then we've got Venus exalted in her own sign of Taurus, bringing a steadying influence, some protection, some sweetness, and the enjoyment of life comforts as we are doing all of this battle and working through the uncomfortable action and adventure stuff. And there's Uranus at the final degrees of Taurus. So at 29 degrees, a planet can cause a bit of trouble. And so there could be disruptions in that Taurus area of your chart and over the next few weeks until the end of April, when Uranus moves into the sign of Gemini for good. So this is just the last few moments of Uranus being in the sign of Taurus, where it's been for the last 7 years. So that's the chart of the new moon in the sign of Aries. So many planets in the sign of Aries. I'm now going to do a sign by sign breakdown. In it, I'm going to talk about all that lineup of energy in Aries and a little bit about that feeling of lack or that wound that might come up at the time of the new moon. And I hopefully can reassure you that it's just a matter of working through stuff, because it's just part of life, and there will be opportunities to help with your healing and take the next steps with that. And then it's just go, go, go into whatever it is and whatever part of life this is affecting for you. Okay, so Aries, on Friday the 17th of April, there is a new moon at 27 degrees of your sign, Aries. This is your first house. This is a cosmic reset for you. There's so much resetting for you, Aries, because you had the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in your sign, and then all the personal planets making conjunctions, Venus, the Sun, Mars, and then Mercury, coming into conjunction with Saturn and Neptune, and also Chiron, representing new beginnings for everything in your life. And you are leading the way, Aries, into this new world for us. You're taking the lead because you are the one that's got the strongest energy for this pioneering, this initiative, this independent spirit that is very happy and pleased to forge new paths, and then the rest of us just follow along. Okay, so incredible energy, maybe never seen in your lifetime before, for new beginnings and new initiatives. This is a whole new big chapter of your life. At least one Aries person I know has just resigned from their job, and they are setting off to another country, and they're looking at starting a new business. They're doing so much new stuff. It's pretty incredible, and it's so unknown. Like the plans might not even work out, but the fact is the job has been let go of, and after that, it's just a matter of stepping off and working it out, and it will unfold slowly, but it's a very, very big new chapter. This is just one example. You've had Chiron moving through your sign since around about 2018, 2019, and maybe bringing some insecurity to who you are in the world, your belief, your trust and your place in the world, your trust that there is a place for you in the world, your I am, who am I? And so with the new moon, you might need to look at that a bit and explore it. If you have a chance to do some therapy and talk about it, because Mercury is in the mix there, or journaling, or whatever works for you. Aries, what works for you might be taking action on something, actually, to just move some project forward, and the action itself might be quite therapeutic or physical. A physical workout, doing some hard physical activity could help as well. All the best for that area, Aries. You are a leader. Help us through into this new realm, this new world that we are galloping off into. And please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Taurus Rising, on Friday the 17th of April, Taurus, there is a new moon at 27 degrees of Aries. This is a big new start for you with all that energy in Aries, that lineup of 7 heavenly bodies in your 12th house. And the 12th house is hidden from the world. So this could be some very big new beginning, a dream world, a place of retreat, some new beginning in a place that the rest of the world, your main life, doesn't really see you, but you could get so involved in it. And it could be where you're being very creative and acting on some dreams, writing some songs, some poetry, music, doing artwork, because the 12th house can be where we connect to the universe, to spirit, to higher consciousness, to everything that is like downloading from the universe. Okay, the 12th house can also be about places that are out of the way, like hospitals, prisons, even workplaces where you're not really seen or known about very much. I've got a friend with a lot of 12th house energy, and we were hanging out for quite a number of years, and I still didn't really understand what work she did, and she has to explain it to me really well. Her son is in the 12th house, so that's an example of how 12th house can be a little bit hidden from the world, or a lot hidden from the world. The 12th house can also be a house where we escape too much. We escape from the world in a positive way through creativity and spirituality, but sometimes we can escape too much where we're not facing up to reality. We're getting involved in substance habits or addictions, or doing too much escapist practices and not facing up to reality too much. I think, though, with all of these, with that moon being conjunct Chiron, the sun and moon being conjunct Chiron, there might be something where we need to face up to a bad habit or an addiction or some behavior or pattern of approach to life that we have that doesn't serve us well, and work to undoing that so that you can operate better in the rest of your life. It could even be there's a whole hidden part of yourself that you're not sharing with the world. And maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe you feel shame about it, and maybe it's time to boldly take it out into the world, perhaps, and own it. But the 12th house is also, like I said, places of retreat like hospitals, care homes, um, retreat centres, and there could be some big new start for you in one of these areas. Perhaps you are getting involved in a retreat place or a resort, and it's quite a hidden away place. It could be you meet some people and they live out in the back blocks, in the boondocks, as we would say, out in the country, and nobody knows about their place really, but you get really involved and it becomes a big part of your life. That could be an example. But mostly, Taurus, this is an incredible energy for new beginnings in this 12th house of your spirituality and creativity. And I think there could be some wonderful, positive new beginning for you when you're looking up into those wounds and overcoming them. But mostly, Taurus, this is an incredible energy of new beginnings, very powerful. And so there's some part of your life that's hidden away from the rest of the world that becomes a really big part of your life, a really big new beginning. So all the best for that. And please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Gemini Rising, on Friday the 17th of April, there is a new moon in the sign of Aries, in late Aries, and this is your 11th house, Gemini. This is the house of your long-term goals, the house of your rewards from your work, like your income from work or your status and reputation, or any other perks that you get from your job and feeling like you belong perhaps in a job. And it's also a house of your groups of friends, especially when those groups of friends are connected in some way through a common belief or a common desire to help humanity, but it could be just friendship groups as well. So there's some incredibly strong power for new beginnings in any of those areas. And it might be that you are really, really pushing forward with your goals in life, or really, really stepping out into new things in terms of the rewards that you want to get from your career, or stepping into a whole new world of friendship groups. As the new moon is conjunct Chiron, there might be some kind of wound or a feeling of lack or not enoughness to face up to at the time of the new moon. And this could be, for example, I've somebody I know who has Pluto in the 11th house, which is a little bit similar, and there's a whole lot of deep, deep fear about losing friends. And there could be some kind of wound like that, a feeling of abandonment or worried that you're going to be abandoned by your friends or by your career people, the people that you work with, or in some ways that something won't work out with your goals. So address that as you can. Address it boldly. Aries is a bold energy, an energy of action, and do your best with that. But mostly, this is a wonderful, strong, very powerful convergence of energy, all in that 11th house of your long-term goals, your friendship groups, your groups of friends, and the rewards from your career and work. So all the best for that, Gemini, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Cancer Rising, on Friday, the 17th of April, there's a new moon at 27 degrees of Aries with 6 other planets or 5 other heavenly bodies all lined up there, bringing such power and force and energy for action in your career, Cancer. The 10th house is your career house. It's the house of the work that you do for a career, work that you're known to do, a house of public reputation and status. And even if you're not in paid work, this will be what you're known to do. So if you are not in paid work, but you're a member of committees and people see you doing this work in your committees, or you do volunteer work somewhere, you've got a reputation and a status with this. There's incredible new beginnings happening here. Very powerful. The career house is also very important, not just for your status and for your money, obviously. It's also important because it's the house where you are looking to the future and to the legacy that you would like to leave behind for future generations through the work that you do in your career, through that status and reputation, and how you even perhaps use your status and reputation. So it might be that you are setting out on some whole new work in which you've got quite idealistic ideas about what kind of legacy you want to leave behind for the world. And that Neptune will be bringing ideas of charity and idealism and fairness. And Saturn will make it well structured for the long term in the future. There might be something involving your partner in there because of Saturn being the ruler of your partnership house. But there's so many planets in there. It's just all parts of your life might get focused on your career, especially because the moon is your ruler, Cancer, and the new moon is the topic of all of this, the real big instigator this particular week. There could be some kind of injury, illness, feeling of lack, or feeling of insecurity that comes up at the time of the new moon because of that conjunction to Chiron. And you will need to work through that. And with your sensitivity, Cancer, that might help you being able to delineate what the emotions are, because you understand emotions, and allowing yourself to feel the emotions might help you with it, and Mercury will help with naming and addressing them. So work through them as you need to, but there's mostly so much energy for action and doing things. Also, taking the action that you need to move your career forward might also help. So all the best for that, Cancer, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Leo Rising, on Friday, the 17th of April, there's a new moon at 27 degrees of Aries. It is a very, very powerful lineup with 6 other planets or heavenly bodies, with Chiron as well, the moon and sun, Mars, Neptune, Saturn, and Mercury, all lined up in Aries. So this could be affecting all parts of your life because those planets between them are ruling many of your houses, and you are ruled by the sun, Leo. And of course, this is exalted in the sign of Aries, and it's with the new moon at the time. So incredible energy for new beginnings in areas of travel in your life, in your belief practices or your understanding or your systems for belief and how you understand the world is ordered, your idealism about the world. With belief practices, this could be about a new guru coming into your life or finding a whole new religion or spiritual set of understandings that really resonates with you, and you want to set out to follow this on a quest to follow it. The ninth house is very much about quests and journeys, and Aries is also about going off on independent solo journeys, and that might be what you do to try and understand the meaning of life, because the ninth house wants to understand how life works. It loves talking about philosophy and the meaning of life. And you've got so much energy for that at the moment, Leo, as well as just pure travel and going off, galloping off to those horizons, to far off countries, far off places, doing adventures. And the other thing that the ninth house can be about is higher learning, like university learning. This could be a fantastic time to start a course that's going to be a university course or some high level thinking course, not just not hand skills and not basic literacy or numeracy. This is more getting up to higher abstract topics, um, esoteric philosophical topics even. And that course, whatever you do, it might it might reveal a whole new pathway that takes you down for the next 30 years or so, because we've got that Saturn Neptune energy there. That was the beginning of a 36 year journey. So much energy for new beginnings, for travel, for fun adventures, and philosophical adventures, adventures of the higher mind, Leo, and even spiritual understanding. So good luck with that. Enjoy it, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Virgo, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Virgo rising, on Friday the 17th of April, there is a new moon at 27 degrees of Aries. That is in your 8th house, Virgo, the house of shared resources with a partner. So this could be about your shared finances with a partner, a business partner, or an intimate partner, a life partner. And it also can be about inheritances, taxes, any large amounts of money that you don't necessarily have ready access to, retirement savings, investments, okay? So there could be some great deal of focus in any of these areas. You might be studying up how to make investments, studying up the stock market, figuring out your retirement savings, and figuring out a journey that's going to unfold over the long term, even over the next 36 years, with this new moon being in the same sign as the big Saturn-Neptune conjunction that was in late February. The 8th house can also be about delving into our underlying psychological layers, our deep fears, our deep motivations, our deep willpower, and again, our deep fears, some deep pain. Going in and exploring that and understanding what has caused us to feel in the ways that we feel, to fear the things that we fear, and to desire with great, incredible, deep desire some of those things. So taking some action to understand your deeper layers could be really helpful, whether that's talking therapies or any kind of energetic healing work or divination practices, or any kind of shadow work that you can do, whether it's some kind of official, organized, structured healing practice or a way that works for you. Because you've got Aries in this house, it might be that taking action, like doing some physical work, like dancing out some of your trauma, your PTSD, whatever it is, dancing could be really good, because if you're doing a lot of hip work, moving your hips, it could help with moving stuff that's going on in your root chakra. And because Aries is about physical energy and physical action, that could help with it, Virgo. And also the 8th house can be about deep intimacy with your partner, and that's great. That could be some amazing new beginnings there, with your sexuality even. Not so much like fun, playful sexuality, but like where it's very, very, very deeply intimate, where you're understanding down below the layers. Okay. And the 8th house is also about crisis and transformation, and it might be that you're having to face up to quite transformative experiences that feel like crises, and they kind of wring you out and turn you inside out. I think I said that also in last week's video, that are not easy, but you come out like a new person from those and ready for these adventurous new initiatives. So all the best for that, Virgo, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Libra Rising, there's such a huge lineup of energy, Libra, in your house of partnership. So surely something new with partnership is going to come out of this. And this could be a new business partner or a new way of doing business with your current partner, a new life partner, or a whole new phase of an existing relationship that is unfolding over the next 30 years perhaps. There could be endings with this, but this is very much the energy of new beginnings, and is so much energy. Almost all of your life is involved in that 7th house at the moment. There's so much focus and concentration. So there could be so much happening for your partner right now. Your partner might be going through these incredible transformative changes. In the meantime, you, Venus, you're Libra, and you're ruled by Venus, which is just one over in your 8th house, having a nice time there. So there could be some good stuff with your partner's money at the time of this new moon, but most of the energy of the whole chart, of the whole time that we're in now, is in that Aries, and that is the house of partnerships. So some incredible new beginnings for you, Libra. If you don't have a partner, if there's no one that you're working with in partnership at the moment, this could be about, that could bring in a partner of some nature, somebody that you're spending one-to-one time with. It could be, but however, even if there is nobody, it could be about a whole new approach to how you partner with people, how you communicate with people in a one-to-one way, how you work with people in a one-to-one way, that you've got a lot of energy for. It's going to take courage. Perhaps you are overcoming some blocks and barriers, perhaps in your communication. Perhaps you put yourself behind the other person. Perhaps you just don't know how to talk to people in ways that work well for the win-win that you can get with people. Okay, so some new approach to partnership. And also the 7th house can be also about work relationships, and this could be client relationships, therapist relationships, or customer relationships. So how do you approach customers, clients, or bosses even? Any kind of one-to-one relationship, all of these, there's great energy for new beginnings, new initiatives, and bold action there. So all the best for that, Libra, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Scorpio Rising, on Friday the 17th of April, there is a new moon at 27 degrees of Aries. There is an incredible amount of energy in the sign of Aries. Scorpio, this is the house where you give service in the world. It is your 6th house of your daily routines, of keeping your life in order, of being organized and healthy and clean and tidy, and your daily work. So where you go out and work each day, that is how you give service. Or if you do volunteer work for people, that is how you give service in the world. It's a very spiritual house in that way, but it's very practical service in the 6th house. And with that Aries energy, there's a desire to take a lot of action as you give service. The new moon is representing an incredible amount of energy, and surely out of this, there's some new way that you are going to give service in the world. Perhaps a new job that feels very, you feel very energized by, like very ready to take action and be moving forward into unknown realms with that new job, unknown areas. So you could be out of your comfort zone. If it's not a new job, it could be some new way of organizing your life, your daily routine. What time do you get up? What time do you make breakfast? Do you have your shower in the morning or the evening? Whatever you do, some great new way of approaching this that is energetic, fiery even. And there's a great focus on this. With the Chiron conjunction with that new moon, there might be something that comes up where there's been a lack or a disability or insecurity around either your work or your service, which can include your work, or your daily routines in life. Perhaps an injury that means you cannot exercise in the same way that you normally could. Whatever it is, it's something to address, to face up to. And because Aries is such an energetic and physically active sign, it could actually help to address this feeling of lack or insecurity or the injury or the illness or the lack itself in a physical way by actually taking physical action like cleaning your house, for example, if that's what's needed, or having a figurative cleanup of things and sorting things out and organizing them, or actually physically taking action, because the sixth house can also be, because it's daily routines, that can include exercise, and you might want to include more physical exercise in your daily routines. Whatever it is, Scorpio, it's new, it's powerful, and it's a new beginning that's much more than the normal new moon that we have in this part of your chart at this time of year. So all the best for that, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Sagittarius Rising, on Friday the 17th of April, there's a new moon in the sign of Aries, Sagittarius. This is your fifth house, and you have so much energy concentrated there in that fifth house of your children, of your romantic relationships like dating partners, of your hobbies and your creative expression. It's fiery energy. There's so much energy there. Surely something new is going to start for your children, some big new life change for your children. It could be some big new way that you do dating. It could be some big new romantic partner that comes into your life, and you guys could be doing a lot of active, energetic, physically active things together as you do that. Or it could be a new hobby that you have, a new form of creative expression for the fiery self that you are, Sagittarius, that is quite adventurous. You would probably love that idea of galloping off into the unknown, because you're all about that, Sagittarius. Okay. With the new moon being conjunct Chiron, there could be a little bit of some kind of feeling of lack or a limitation, a feeling of abandonment or a disability or illness even that can get in the way. Perhaps you're going dating for the first time in a long time, and you've got some kind of mark on your face or some kind of injury to your body, and you wonder, how is that going to be in the dating world? Is it going to, will you be judged for that? And there could be something to face up to about that, with realism, but also with compassion for yourself and understanding and boldness and courage. So whatever that is, facing up to it is the thing to do, and actually taking physical action with that Aries energy, or just taking action, like not holding back, just going for it, going for whatever you want in the dating world with your children, or creative hobbies, or any kind of hobbies or fun pursuits, playful pursuits that you want to. I would say go for it, Sagittarius. You're a sign that loves action, and this lineup is so much about action. So all the best for that, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Capricorn Rising, On Friday, the 17th of April, there's a new moon at 27 degrees of Aries with 6 planets accompanying it, including Chiron, which is actually a centaur. There's incredible energy in your 4th house of your home and your family. So much energy for new beginnings, for taking action with these new beginnings. So surely something is going to start, and you are going to start something to do with your home, your family of origin, your ancestry. And it could feel like quite courageous and daring, like you're stepping out into the unknown where you haven't been before. It could be that you are going to be buying a house for the first time. Or it could be that you have grown up and left home and you are getting into an apartment and living as an adult for the first time if you're a young person. It could even be that your kids have left home and you are taking charge of the house on your own and for the first time as an empty nester, and there can be courage with that needed to face that because it's a whole different identity in the world. And it's to do with your home changing. Also, it could be a big new start for something with your family of origin, maybe a different way of relating to your family of origin, maybe saying no to them, maybe saying yes to them, whatever it is, something that feels courageous outside your comfort zone. And with Saturn there, which is your ruler, whatever it is, it's going to unfold gradually and steadily, and you will need to work hard with discipline, which you will be fine with, Capricorn. But a lot of this energy is about being spontaneous and making quick decisions. Sorry, shaking the table. And just going for it without thinking too much. So I hope that goes well for you, because that can take a lot of courage, especially when you like to do things in a more measured way. But all the best for that, Capricorn. There's so much energy in the area of your home, and an amazing new start unfolding over the next 30 years. That's the scope of this. It's very, very big. So please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Aquarius Rising, there's a new moon on Friday, the 17th of April at 27 degrees of Aries. That is your 3rd house, Aquarius, the house of your community, your neighborhood, your siblings, and other relations, the house of how you get around your neighborhood, your commute, walking, cycling, bus, or driving, whatever it is. And it's also a house of social media, communication, small business, trade, and exchange. There's a lot in the 3rd house. Hand skills and local learning, schools and teaching, and local courses. So there's so much energy here, Aquarius. It is concentrated. Almost every part of life is involved with this 3rd house at the moment. Almost every part of life. Your modern ruler, Uranus, is actually in your 4th house of home and family, about to move into the sign of Gemini. So that's big news coming up for you and for all of us, but especially you. And we'll talk about that in another video. But the other parts of life are pretty much all concentrated in this Aries part of your chart, the 3rd house of your neighborhood and your siblings. What is the big new start that's going to unfold? What are you going to focus on? It will be hard not to focus on it. Life is going to make some big new change, a new story, a new unfolding journey where you will be required to make bold and decisive quick decisions, to be quite spontaneous and think on the spot. And with that Uranus energy that you have, Aquarius, because Uranus is your modern ruler, you're probably quite good sometimes at being spontaneous and innovative, but usually you do that on your terms. The rest of the time, you're quite fixed and steady. And so all this energy of new beginnings and having to suddenly go off and do this or that could be uncomfortable at times. Okay, so this could be something like you move to a whole new neighborhood, a whole new community, or you're living in the same place, but a whole new community forms around you. It could be something like suddenly your sister or brother that lived far, far away suddenly moves in with you, and That completely changes the relationship with your sibling. It could be that your sibling has kids and suddenly you're an auntie or an uncle and you never thought you would be. It's a big new change. Maybe they're in your same town and you'll be really involved with them, whatever it is. Okay. The third house, also teaching and learning. You might start an important course that's part of a big journey that will unfold over the next 30 years. You might get involved with social media or writing, communication activities of some kind or another where you're sharing your ideas with the world. Some big, bold, uncomfortable, but important new beginning. So, whatever it is, Aquarius, I'm sure it's something because there's so much energy there. And I wish you all the best for it. And please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. And if you are Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Pisces Rising, and I am one of you, I'm Pisces Rising and Pisces Moon, actually. So on Friday, the 17th of April, there's a new moon at 27 degrees of Aries with 6 planets plus Chiron all lined up in that Aries part of your sky, which is the second house of your money, possessions, resources, finances, your earnings. Wow. So some big, big, big new beginning that feels very, very powerful and you're forced into it even, perhaps, and the consequences of it could unfold over the next 30 years, 35 years, because it's all part of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction and the unfolding story that began in late February. This new moon is a very powerful new start for your finances, for your earnings. So I'm excited because I'm hoping I'll get an idea for a new income stream or two, and possibly a new job even that brings a steady and secure and lucrative income. You never know. That's what I'm hoping for. We may be required, Pisces, to make quick decisions, spontaneous, to have to be quite decisive and on the spot. And of course, I personally am not so good at that. I rather like just flow my way into the decision rather than having to be very decisive in the moment. But we might have to do that. And there could be an energy of stepping out into the unknown that's unnerving, like uncomfortable. And we just have to go with it because we're like the fool in the tarot, the number one tarot card, the fool setting off on the journey, not knowing what we're doing, but we must go on the journey. So, what could it be? It also could be some amazing way that you find to make income, and it could be challenging and but rewarding. But also, the income might not come immediately because Saturn is in the mix, making things slow and requiring that we're dutiful and responsible. And also, because that new moon is conjunct Chiron, there's a wound that we need to face up to, perhaps a sense of feeling insecure about money or feeling we don't deserve money or that we don't have enough when in fact maybe we do, maybe it's the way we see it, or there's some reason we can't receive money, whether that's coming from inner psychology like blocks, that wealth mindset thing, or some reason in the outer world, and we might need to face up to that and address it. And the ways that we can face up, perhaps with this Aries energy, as well as through perhaps therapy or counseling, the Aries energy might encourage us to take action, to do things really actively. And that could be actually physical activity because that can work through emotions, and dancing, for example, that can work things through the root chakra, but also just taking action and doing things. Sometimes I can feel kind of really grumpy and awful about things. Oh, things are piling up on me. I've got too much to do. And then when I actually face up to what I have to do and start taking action, I feel a lot better. So it could be something like that. Anyway, Pisces, good luck for a big new start in your money house or the house of resources and possessions. Another idea, it could be that you start gardening and growing your own veggies if you've got a space to garden in. And that could be the big new start with your resources, different ways to acquire your resources. Okay. So yes, all the best for that, and please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video. So there we go, everyone. That is my video about this powerful, incredible lineup of energy in the sign of Aries and the new moon in the sign of Aries, representing some enormous, strong, incredible new start in our lives. So I hope it goes well for you, and good luck to all of us with taking that bold action and being spontaneous and decisive when we need to be, and being the hero of our, or the heroine of our own lives. So all the best, and I'll see you in the next video.